Now, this failed to work in 2025, particularly in if you talk about the Liberation Day. So all banks and buy-side institutions that I speak to and I know of correctly predicted the first order risk, and that was Donald Trump would be president of the United States. They predicted the second order risk, which was Donald Trump would impose tariffs globally across all countries that he thought was trading unfairly with the US. Now, the third order risk from there onwards was where most institutions failed, and that was US treasuries would rally in the event of massive market moves and crises. So most institutions actually bought US treasuries initially during that sell-off because that was the safe haven trade. Now, why is it that they failed? Is because most banks and large buy-side institutions use something called historic VAR. They use historic VAR and linear models with historic correlations that in today's world do not apply, because today's world moves in a non-linear way, and you can't basically predict future movements or volatility based on past events. And that is why, if you look at the regulators in Australia, in Singapore, in the US, in the UK, they are trying to redefine what stress testing would have to look like going forward. And the initial suggestion is that we can't look at linear stress testing and scenario analysis anymore. If this happens, this would happen. We need to introduce randomness, and that's why I think we'll see this by the end of the year, that most regulators would make scenario analysis mandatory through the use of Monte Carlo, which basically generates randomized scenarios on how markets may behave, and then basically includes what you call a probability distribution of outcomes, right? Including fat tails and extreme black swans. And I think what banks and major buy-side institutions have to do is they need to keep their scenario analysis, and they need to incorporate random Monte Carlo testing, because the world we live in is no longer predicted on the basis of historic outcomes. It is completely random, and we can go anywhere. And so I think it's going to be really a few exciting 12 to 18 months for risk managers across the financial markets.
Thank you, Sam.